about rebates and how you can keep your account safe while continuing to use rebates. Once again, if you want to join us in the Zoom meeting to ask questions, interact, all that fun stuff, sellerroundtable.com/live. And we're going to get started here shortly. All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andy Arnott. Amy's not with me today, and I'm doing a Seller Roundtable Extra. And today we're going to be talking about Amazon rebates and how to keep your account safe while continuing to use things like discounts and rebates. If you'd like to ask any questions, either on any of the social platforms or in the Zoom meeting, feel free to do so as we go, and I will hopefully be able to answer those for you. So getting started, if you don't know what rebates are, they are something that have been used for many, many years. Very common in commerce, especially in brick and mortar commerce, and then now newly in e-commerce. And all a rebate is after somebody purchases a product, they usually submit some type of order information to prove that they've made that purchase, and then the retailer issues a refund, either actually almost always through the mail. So recently there were a couple of major, actually the largest rebate platform recently was booted from the Amazon MWS. If you don't know what that is, it's just kind of the programming interface, kind of the back end that services use in order to get data from Amazon. So things like product information. So they were recently taken down, and there were some sellers to get some warning letters, stating like, just to remind you, don't combine or don't try to game the system, in essence, was the gist of the letters. So what I wanted to go over here are 10 points on how to keep your account safe while continuing to use rebates. A lot of people, I think, are now scared to use rebates, even though rebates, in my opinion, and all of this is my opinion, unless you work for Amazon, you don't know the exact 100% truth. But I've been in this game for a long, long time, almost 10 years now, and software since I was about 19 years old. So, I've got, I think, a pretty good perspective on this stuff, and my opinion, I think, is fairly solid. But once again, it is my opinion. All right, so I'm going to share my screen just so I can give you guys who are watching a little bit of visuals here. Let me know if you in the chat, if one of you guys can let me know if you can see the screen. I'd really appreciate that. And for those of you, like I said, listening, I'm going to go over this on audio anyway. I just want to give the people watching something to be able to look at. So, all right. So here we go with using rebates safely, and how to use rebates and coupons to boost your e-com sales. So it's, once again, something that's been used for a very, very long time. I think a lot of people, or some people, are getting scared away by it from these recent things happening, but I want to assure you guys that using these types of marketing correctly should not cause your account to have any issues at all. So, one of the things that I really wanted to go over is one of the main reasons I think that people, especially some of these services, were getting in trouble for, was something called search, find, buy. If you don't know what that is, it's in essence telling a user, hey, go to Amazon, search this keyword, find this product, click on it, purchase it. It's very much unnatural in terms of, the purchasing journey is not a normal journey that somebody would take to buy a product, right? It would be like going through the front door of Walmart and saying, hey, I want a garden hose. And they say, okay, go to the clothes section, get a pair of socks, buy those, then return them, then go get the garden hose, then bring it up, then pay for it, then we'll give you the money back. It's just like, it's not a natural flow, right? It's kind of circumventing the natural flow. And the reason why search, find, buy was effective is because it's simulated real shopping behavior. So when Amazon would see that, they would give credit as an organic sale and would boost that sale much more than if it were a direct link or something like that. So my first suggestion is don't ever use search, find, buy. If you're doing that, like I said, I think that's going to be one of the main things that Amazon is looking at right now. I think in an episode a couple of months ago, I talked about how my guess was that they would crack down on this in Q4, and I was lucky in terms of being able to call that. That's exactly what they went after in this Q4. Every year they go after something, and that's what they went after this year. So, first suggestion: don't use search, find, buy. Stay away from search, find, buy. The other thing that you really want to stay away from are special URLs. So some services, I think one was called Pixelfy Me. I think Rebate Key actually bought them a little bit ago. And there are some other services that use this, special URL. Some were calling them super URLs. I don't quite put them in the same category because I'll kind of explain the difference here in a bit. So a special URL, well, what it does is, once again, it mimics or it simulates Amazon, unnatural Amazon behavior. So if you were to click on one of these special links, it would take you to Amazon, but to the end user, it looks like just, that you clicked and went to Amazon. But in the back end, there's a lot of redirects going on, which means that when you click on it, it goes to one website, it generates what's called a QID, which would then go to Amazon, and to Amazon, it would look once again like a organic search. Like you went to Amazon, you typed in that keyword, you found the product, clicked on it, and then purchased it. So this is gaming the system once again in terms of, making it look like a natural purchase when in essence it was generated to look like, like a natural purchase. So let me actually update the screen here so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So in terms of that, once again, that's another thing that I'm guessing that Amazon saw and saw that as gaming the system, saw that as unfair. People using that or having an unfair advantage to people who either didn't know about it, weren't using it, or just decided not to use it. So once again, I would not use special URLs that simulate that organic search. Now, I said, super URLs, I consider that a little bit different. People are going to call this whatever they want, but in my term, I like to call it a little bit different, what I call deep linking. So deep linking would be if you went to Amazon, you did a search, you found a product, you clicked on it, and then you copied the URL out of the browser window, right? Now, some might say, oh, well, that's just the same as this special URL. It's simulating. And in my opinion, it is not, because anybody could go do that search, find the product, copy that URL, and paste it somewhere to share with people, right? So if Amazon was going to make that, was going to call that a gray hat or against TOS, they'd have a really hard time enforcing that, because if somebody's just copying and pasting a URL out of the browser, to me that they're gonna be grasping for straws there. So definitely stay away from the special URLs. Deep linking, in other words, to your storefront, direct to the product. After you do a search on Amazon, copy out of the browser bar. If you do a brand filtered search, any of those kinds of things that you can actually do on Amazon, in other words, from the front end, you can filter down on Amazon, copy the URL, paste it, and it goes to your product. To me, in my opinion, I don't believe that you're going to get in trouble for that, because to me, that's a natural behavior. That's something that people do every day, which is copy, URLs out of a browser window and paste them and share them around. So to me, I would still say that those URLs are most likely safe. I wouldn't be too worried about those, but the generated ones, I would definitely be really careful with. Okay. The other thing that a lot of people were doing were things like ManyChat flows, right? They do a ManyChat flow. They get a customer into the ManyChat flow. Then they would, say like, oh, hey, go purchase this product. As soon as you purchase it, let us know and we'll send you a PayPal rebate. To me, I think Amazon, once again, these are all my guesses. I don't have any proof of this. This is just conjecture. And from my knowledge of doing this for so long, is Amazon sees that as kind of a payoff, right? Like if you're buying, it would be like, once again, my Walmart analogy, going into Walmart, buying the garden hose, and then as soon as you buy the garden hose, having the cashier run after you, right after you walk out of the store with a $10 bill, being like, hey, thanks for buying this. Here you go. It's just, once again, not a natural kind of way of doing things, right? It just seems like the person who's getting this quote unquote rebate is actually just being paid off to buy the product, right? So I think Amazon takes a lot of process into account when they are getting, when they are throwing out these terms of service violations, right? If it's something that's fairly natural, I think in their mind, it's like, well, this is just the way that business is done. But if you're trying to kind of circumvent or kind of game the system a little bit, that's what Amazon is worried about. So, in my opinion, instant rebates where you're sending cash via PayPal or another electronic means like instantly would be something I would really, really be careful on. All right. Okay, the other thing that this is something that kind of came about when 3 or 4 years ago, when it was still okay to give a discount and then ask for a review. That, of course, was something they got rid of a long time ago. But this still applies to discounts, coupon codes, any of those things. Is you have to be cautious on the size of discount or the rebate. So, in other words, if you're trying to give promo codes out for 100% off, Amazon's probably gonna frown on that because to them, it looks like you're just trying to game the system. Same thing with rebates, right? If you're giving out 100% rebate, that would probably be a little bit harder or a little bit easier for Amazon to look at as kind of gaming the system. Now, I think rebates, even at 100% off, are going to be a little bit more safe than promo codes because there are places where you can go and get 100% rebate from something that you buy in a brick and mortar store. So, once again, that one could possibly be an issue. I don't see it as one. The only way I could see it as a major issue if you try to give a ton of products away, right? So, kind of two metrics there is one is the size of the rebate. In other words, the size of the discount or the rebate, and also the number of rebates or discounts, right? So if you're giving out a couple rebates every day when you first launch, in Amazon's world, that's probably not a big deal. But if you're trying to give out like 100 a day or something like that, that's when Amazon's algorithm will probably kick in and show Amazon that there's some irregularities about, kind of the traffic and the sales and kind of the things that they're seeing on the back end with people interacting with your product. What people don't realize is there's probably almost no one who's manually going through trying to find people breaking these rules, right? It's all driven by algorithm. So, if you kind of know how to navigate around that algorithm, then you have a little bit better understanding of what Amazon sees as kind of gaming the system, right? Once again. So, if you're familiar with that, if you know that, like, if I'm going to give 100 products out at 100% rebate, I'll probably get in trouble. If I do, 80, 90, or even 100% off, but I'm only giving 2 or 3 out a day, the chances of you getting in trouble for that are a lot less. And even if you are, using diverse traffic, which I'll talk a little bit more about now, or actually I talk about it a little bit more on a few points down. So those are something to really think about when you're doing these launches. All right. So the other thing that you want to do is never combine a discount or rebate with a review ask off of Amazon. So that's, once again, going back to things like my ManyChat example, right? So if you get somebody into a ManyChat flow, you give them a discount and then you sell them a product either at a discount or with a rebate, and then you ask them for a review, that can get you into trouble because the way that Amazon sees that is you're sort of paying the user off in order to get that review, right? So be really cautious of that, combining discounts or rebates with a review. And I say off the Amazon platform because what a lot of people don't realize is, I think it was about a year and a half ago, might have been longer, Amazon actually rolled out the ability to ask for reviews within Amazon. So when you go into your order screen, you're actually able to go in and ask for reviews from customers who buy your product. Now, to me, that it's once again, it would be very hard for them to police or say that you're doing anything wrong when that's already baked into their system, right? So if you're giving a rebate or a discount and then asking for a review on the Amazon platform, I think you're going to be a lot safer there than the other ways that I've mentioned, in terms of ManyChat flows off of the Amazon platform, right? Amazon wants you to play in their sandbox so they can see that you're being above board. So something definitely that I would want you guys to think about when you're doing these rebates and discounts. All right, use your common sense. This one, seems like it should be something that everybody's thinking about, but may not be. But everybody has kind of that internal feeling on if you're doing what you're doing is feels kind of icky, or if you in your gut you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. A lot of times your gut's right. So if it's if you're doing some of these things and you feel like, yeah, this might not be right, I would say definitely err on the side of caution. And one thing that people don't realize is they always think Amazon's out to get you, right? Which sometimes might be a little bit true. But I've done this in the past for things like product inserts. And if it's something that you're asking for before you've done the action, so in other words, I emailed seller support at one time. I was like, hey, here's my product insert, and I literally attached it, and I said, is there anything wrong with this insert? Like, would this, do you see any issues with this insert? Granted, you might get 2 or 3 different answers from different agents, but I would still do that. I would do the ask, and then maybe even go back and open another ticket and ask again after you make a little edit or you change it or something like that, and then get a second okay. Now, the reason I say you might want to do that is because if you do get caught by Amazon, or you get flagged by their AI, you can then go back to these tickets and say, hey, I emailed in good faith. I emailed you guys to ask if, this was my understanding on what was acceptable. I even provided you images of what I did, and my response was that it was okay. You're going to have a much easier time if you have to either appeal a suspension or, somehow discuss with Amazon an issue that might come up after the fact. So in other words, email, do all this stuff, get answers before you start doing it, so that if you do get in trouble for something, you can go back and at least show in good faith that you tried to, to play within the rules. The other thing nobody does, and I don't blame you, reading the Amazon TOS is like watching paint dry, right? It's one of the most terrible things to do. It's you feel like there's 10 other things you could be using your time for wisely, instead of reading the Amazon TOS. But when something like this happens, I highly suggest that you guys go out and read the Amazon TOS. Now, a shortcut is, normally you have to like log into the seller support dashboard. You have to search out, whatever the topic is that you're looking for. The easier way, the way I like to do it, is I just go on Amazon. I do Amazon, seller terms of service, on Google, and then I add whatever, rebates, discounts, coupons, whatever it is, like the subtopic that I want to find. Usually Google will then surface that page. I could just click on it and find it. Amazon also has a search in the dashboard, which may work, but in my experience, like I said, I'd rather just go to Google, find it. I seem to be able to find it quicker and find better information that way than actually going through the Amazon dashboard. Okay, the other thing, Amy and I have talked about this a ton, but this is extremely, extremely important. Amazon, people think that Amazon hates things like promo codes, rebates, things like that. They don't. They actually love them if you stay within the rules on the other parts of that flow, right? So if you're not asking for rebates, you're not being egregious on the amount of discounts or promo or rebates you're giving out. If you're not using these auto-generated URLs, if you're not doing search, find, buy, to Amazon, then rebates and promo codes, things like that, are just another avenue of marketing, right? It's just another way to get your product out there, get a new brand notice, get a new product noticed, or try to rescue a stale product. So what you need to do, though, to even kind of up that protection or that feeling of not being in Amazon's crosshairs, is to launch with a diverse traffic profile, or continue with a diverse traffic profile if you're trying not to launch, but just to resurrect a product or continuously promote a brand or a brand page, things like that. But what we do is combine things like promo codes, rebates, on-page coupons, Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok, any other paid and free traffic sources. Especially when you launch, you want to utilize all of those different avenues of marketing at the same time, because then when Amazon's little AI bot goes and pulls your data, it goes, oh, okay, this person's getting a lot of sales and getting a lot of momentum, but it makes sense because they're getting a ton of clicks from all these different places. So once again, launch with a diverse traffic profile, make it as natural as possible. Don't use these URLs or search, find, buy, things like that could get you in trouble. Just do it straight up and it will still work very, very well. So, if you're doing Amazon PPC, Google ads, Pinterest ads, TikTok ads, Facebook, whatever, as long as you have like 2 or 3 additional off Amazon sources of traffic, generally, in my opinion, you're going to be safe because Amazon will just see what you're doing as additional marketing and not, some kind of shady thing that, some other people are possibly doing. So definitely, like I said, do that diverse traffic profile, do that PPC, do all of those things to make that traffic look as natural as possible. All right. Last but not least, I think this might have been another reason why some of these launch rebate platforms got into trouble is, very early on, a lot of the owners of the company were not disclosing that they were part of the company. They were promoting the product without being like, hey, this is my product. I'm a part of this. I'm promoting this because it's my product. In other words, they were promoting these services as like they were just sellers using them and how great they were. In a customer's point of view, that's a very different way of marketing because it makes the customer think that you're this like unrelated person who, when it would be like a server that works at a restaurant, writing a review on Yelp saying how awesome the service is, right? It's just kind of like you can't do that. They would have to disclose like, hey, I'm part of this software. I use it. It's great. Like, that's kind of what you need to think about. The other thing about, and I really ask you guys, if you're going to use influencers, if you're going to do, rebates, ask people for reviews off of Amazon, things like that, you want to make sure that that those people are disclosing FTC guidelines in terms of letting people know that they've gotten some type of compensation for that promotion. So whether it's a free product, whether it's a rebate, whether it's a discount, kind of any of those things fall into those guidelines. And I really, really, to me, I would rather be above board and safe, especially in terms of, Amazon's one thing, the government's a whole nother thing. You don't want to get massive fines or get into big trouble with the FTC. So definitely look those over. Just Google, FTC product promotion guidelines, and you should be able to find the relevant docs. I've skimmed through them. It's really, like I said, not that hard. I've kind of broken it down for you, so you guys can kind of understand a little bit of how that works. Last but not least, so I'm going to disclose, I have a platform called RebateJet. It is not the largest, but we kind of did that on purpose. The reason why it probably wasn't the largest is because we were not using any of these gray hat or black hat techniques on the platform from the beginning. Part of the reason for that is because this is my third launch platform. So back in the day where you could do, discounts for reviews, things like that, we had those services. When that TOS changed, it decimated our business. So when we launched this platform, we wanted it to be completely safe for sellers. As a seller, that's my most important thing. So on RebateJet, we never used search, find, buy. We never used, QID spoofing. We've never done review asks or any of those kinds of things. Our platform is just a legit platform where we ask people for, for real purchases, real feedback, things like that. So, we never did instant or PayPal rebates. We triple verify our shoppers. So when our shoppers sign up, they have to do phone verification, a social login, and then also a actual like physical address, because we mail checks. We don't do any of this like PayPal or any of that, because it really deters people from, reselling your product, from being these phony, people who are just going to buy your stuff and, and do nefarious things. So we really tried to make that kind of the pinnacle sell point of using RebateJet, is to make it very, very safe, to make it, a platform that you'll feel safe in terms of, listing your products for discounts, rebates. The other thing a lot of people don't realize is RebateJet is also a third-party platform. So you can actually list and sell your products directly on RebateJet. RebateJet doesn't charge you anything to do that. The only time you'll ever get charged is a flat $1 fee for every product you sell, which in terms of like Amazon and all these other third-party marketplaces out there, is a game changer. So I really implore you guys to check it out. Wholesaling is also free on our platform. So if you've got products that you're trying to get rid of on Amazon, you can list them on RebateJet for free and converse with other sellers to try to offload those products. If you're watching on any of the social media platforms, or if you're in the Zoom, if you guys have any questions about the rebates, please let me know right now. I will stay on for a couple minutes here. In the meantime, like I said, I really, really implore you guys to not be afraid to continue to market your product. I know that a lot of people are going to be scared away because of all this, TOS stuff. But like I said, if you're worried about it, go ahead and email Amazon, say, hey, I want to use Rebate Jet, this platform here. All they do is automate my rebate process. Is that within TOS? There's no problem in you doing that. I have no problem with you emailing Amazon because we're above board. So I'm not worried about anybody telling Amazon that they use our service. But if it makes you feel better, please feel free to do that. Feel free to reach out to Amazon to ask permission before you even get on our platform. Say, hey, I've heard about this thing. It does this. If you guys have any questions, in terms of how to craft that email or kind of the questions to ask, I'm also, willing to help you guys do that. Andy@sellerseo.com. You can email me there if you have any questions on that. And with that said, that's it for talking about rebates. I wanted to just go over this quickly. In the last couple of weeks, if you've been in like the Amazon seller groups and kind of just, been in the ecosystem here, you've heard about it. And, some of you guys are probably a little afraid to, continue doing this as part of your launching. But like I said, I really want you guys to utilize every tool you can when it comes to things like launching and promotion, because you will then have, that leverage that other sellers who are now scared away from doing this, might have. Last but not least, always protect your seller account. I mean, this is my opinion, like I said, on all this stuff. To safeguard it, like I said, feel free to reach out to Amazon, read the TOS, do all of those things. I implore you guys to do that. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Unless they work for Amazon, nobody else is going to know the exact actual way that, what Amazon's doing, what they're looking for. So that's just, I want to throw that caveat out there before we go. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. If you have not yet done so, please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. We're on all the major platforms. You can also go direct to our website, sellerroundtable.com, click on episodes. You can get all the back episodes. You can get the actual videos. If you want to watch me with my ugly mug actually on video, we can do that, or you can do that at the website. And thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next time on the Seller Roundtable.